Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Grind Season Podcast. This is Anthony Sain, along with my good friend Jason Smith of the Jason and John Show, which you can hear every Monday through Friday from 11 to 2 p.m. on 92.9 FM and Odyssey Station. Jason Smith, what's going on with you, my brother?
Everything is good. How about you, Sain? I'm sort of going back and forth on where we are with the latest with Ja and the Washington
Yeah,
Post. Be nice
yeah,
if we could
me too.
focus straight on basketball.
Yeah,
Uh, but I tell you what, no shortage of things to talk about with the playoffs right around the
for sure.
corner. With the story, good to see you, my brother.
Man, just good to see you as well. We are definitely in the dog days of the NBA season. Final games of the season wrapping up. 2 games left for pretty much everybody in the league. The Grizzlies have the Milwaukee Bucks as well as Oklahoma City Thunder. One game probably won't mean anything to the Bucks, but the game against the Thunder could possibly, more than likely, will mean a lot to them. So we'll see what type of lineups the Grizzlies roll out for that. We have an exciting show today, Jason Smith. We have I'm going to talk about the second segment of the show first. We're going to talk about the 2 games since the last time we talked. The Grizzlies have played 2 games since we had those games. Since we had our show, we had a win against Portland, got us our 50th win in the season, and we also lost our last game, a big lead against the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that we could very well see in the first round of playoffs as well. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the Santi Aldama injury, the severity of that. He checked out early in the game. We're going to talk about that. And, of course, we're going to talk about the major story today. More information, more details to the Ja Morant situation. I guess we can call this episode I Know What You Did Last Summer Part 2 as far as the Ja Morant situation. But before we get into all those things, we do thank you guys for listening to the Grind Season Podcast. Thank you for subscribing. Watch us on our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, watch us on YouTube as well. And if you're watching us, listen to us. You can find us on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page. You can find us on the free Odyssey app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look up Grind Season. But the person we want to introduce you guys to, very special guest of mine, Jason Smith. I met this brother at a Memphis Grizzlies game, I think in the preseason, well, very early game in the season. He is the host of the Crowd Goes Wild television show on the Sky Sport New Zealand network. This ain't no brother from North Memphis. He ain't in South Memphis. He ain't from LA. This brother, man, that brother said it's Good Friday right now where he at, man. He said it's 12 noon. We interrupting his lunchtime, man. He ain't got time to be fooling around with us. I met this brother at the game. He's a good brother. He's a fan of the Grizzlies. He's a fan of Steven Adams. He's on the talk with us now, Mr. James McOnie. James, what's going on, my brother?
All the way from New Zealand. Good to see you guys. Great to be on the show.
You on, my brother.
Yeah, this is midday Good Friday.
Yeah, man, that's a great day. Great day for sure.
Fantastic.
Man, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure, man. This is dope. Jason Smith, real fast. I'll let you know how I met Mr. McOnie. I had this very same T-shirt on, Jason Smith at a Grizzlies game. This is one of my favorite tees in my closet. For you guys who are not listening, I'm wearing a New Zealand All Blacks T-shirt. One Saturday, or when do they play rugby matches? Is that Saturday or Sunday, James?
All over the place, but Saturday for the big test matches. Yeah.
I was up on a Saturday morning and I saw people talking about the All Blacks. And my black ass was like, wait, there's a team called the All Blacks for real? So I'm like, damn. I was like, what is this? So the people were talking about the All Blacks, right? So I went online. I said, okay. I typed in All Blacks and I saw this dope ass logo. I was like, dude, I gotta have that shirt. I bought the shirt. It's just one of my favorite shirts to put on, man. The logo is super dope. I saw that they're the team, they're the New Zealand rugby team.
Yep.
I met James at the game. I had the shirt on. He was like, man, you a fan? I was like, no. I'm just black. You know what I mean? I said, but I love it. Though. I like how it looks. So that sparked up a conversation. We talked about Steven Adams, and that built the conversation we're about to have today. James, we appreciate you for coming on again, man. This is long overdue. We feel like we brought you on because there's a lot of rumblings about Steven Adams possibly coming back soon. Of course, he had the knee injury. There's a belief that he could be back for the playoffs. That's something we'll definitely talk about. We love Steven Adams here. We haven't always, though, but we'll talk about that as well. But he's a really big deal here. How big of a deal is Steven Adams to the country of New Zealand, being that that's where he's from?
He's a massive deal over here. You can see it in the jerseys that all the kids are wearing. I don't think I ever saw a Grizzlies jersey in New Zealand before. Maybe it had to go back to Vancouver days, but now It's massive. Wherever he goes, we always follow him. But just to give you an example, if there's basketball, NBA basketball on the news, they'll lead with Steven Adams, and sometimes it's only what Steven Adams has done. So if it's a double-double, he's making the news. So that's how we feel about the guy. And his personality, we just love the way he's repping New Zealand with his, the vernacular. Sometimes he'll say something that's very Kiwi, and we all understand him, and we can tell that you don't understand him. So we like that. It's confused everybody in the media in America.
Yeah, man. We love him here for sure, man. He it has the Aquaman thing caught on over there. Do y'all know?
Yeah, Jason Momoa. I mean, he's Polynesian as well. So we sort of he's a big All Blacks fan. He's come and met the team. So Anthony, we got to get you down here. So Jason Momoa, if you talk to Steven Adams about it, he will roll his eyes. He's kind of over it, but he accepts it. Aquaman, as you say, in Memphis, and he takes it in a stride. But the funny thing about it is, like, the two of them, I think they get on like a house on fire. To be honest, Steven Adams is more low key, he doesn't act like a famous guy, whereas Jason's full Hollywood, all noise.
Has he? I was going to ask real quick, St. James, has he surprised you in terms of the niche that he's been able to carve out for himself? Because a lot of the NBA, and especially with bigs, we've moved to those more athletic guys that can stretch out. The NBA loves those guys and loves trying to find them, whereas Steven's still playing that physical, screen setting, rebounding first game. Has he surprised you with how effective he's been and the longevity, so far?
I think he has, but there's a few reasons I think that we like to claim why he's done so well. One is that sort of Kiwi toughness. He plays basketball a little bit like rugby, he's physical. It's all about reacting and anticipating where the ball's going to be, which is why he's such a great rebounder, especially on the offensive end. So he has carved that niche, if you like, because I think he does what nobody else does in the league as well. He's quite happy to get his hands dirty, not worry about the stats. In America, you say everybody eats, which means everybody has to score double points. I think he's past that. He just says, I need to contribute to the win. And you can actually see glimpses of the skill that he's always had in the assist. I think he had the assist of the year in the NBA last year. But I'm sure if you go down to practice, and I know we're not talking about practice, shout out to AI, but he can shoot threes. He can do it. He can do that, but he knows it's not his job and he's not required to do it. So he just stays in his lane.
You talked about Steven Adams and his toughness. We definitely know that Memphis, the things that he provides, being fans of Steven Adams and hating Steven Adams. He used to be one of the guys that we hated here in the city of Memphis back when he played for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I remember Game 6 a few years ago, maybe like 2013, 14. I think it was his rookie year. He was able to get under Zach Randolph's skin, and Zach Randolph threw a punch at him or whatever and landed. Zach was suspended. The Thunder went on to win that game, win that series. What did you guys in New Zealand know about the Memphis? I know you said you didn't see many Memphis Grizzlies jerseys, if any, before Steven Adams got there. What was your impression, just as a sports fan, of the Memphis Grizzlies organization? Going back to those grit and grind teams that faced the Thunder with Steven Adams, and now with the Ja Morant led teams.
I think we always looked at I did look at the Memphis Grizzlies as underachievers, players that teams that had talent, like you mentioned, Zebo, the Gasol brothers, Mike Conley. There were always some stars coming through or making their name at the Grizzlies, but they could never really assemble a full championship potential team. Right. And now, watching Steven Adams be a journeyman, go from place to place, I couldn't have thought of a better landing spot for him. He can be the senior pro with a young guy like Ja Morant, but also respect that he is the superstar. I think he's probably an underrated teammate as a man manager and for culture. So I don't know if the Grizzlies have had a great culture in the past where everybody seems together, but it's no surprise to me to see them so tight, especially last year when you see them get together for the group photo and they're just sort of hanging off each other. That's what we say in New Zealand is just a great team culture, and I'm sure Steven Adams is a massive part of that.
James, it feels like the Western Conference is wide open. I mean, you've got you've got these veteran teams that feels like aiming to be the 6th seed so they can take on a Sacramento team that's inexperienced and maybe even at some point face a Grizzlies team that in this iteration hasn't gotten past the 2nd round yet. So I'd ask you, with it being as wide open as we think it is, I mean, heck, even Denver, isn't flying here as we finish up the regular season. How important for the Grizzlies is hopefully having Steven Adams, even if limited in whatever form, just having that option, having him in there as a starter to you. Because there were times last year where he was, in that Minnesota series where he wasn't playing, where they played him off the floor, you go a little smaller. Mm-hmm. How important is he for the Grizzlies in these playoffs in your mind?
Well, you guys will know better than me, but I feel like the one thing that Steven Adams, if there's one player who can come back way earlier from a knee injury, it probably is Steven Adams. Mm-hmm. He'll just be working so hard to not miss out. He'll have massive FOMO at the moment. But if you look at the way they match up against those teams, I think he's shut down some pretty big stars over the years. I think he's got a great matchup against Joel Embiid from memory, and that's something that is underrated, taking care of a superstar and letting everybody else get on with their business. And even in his absence, it's probably been quite good for someone like Triple J, where you can see Jaren Jackson Jr. just flourish, have to get his hands dirty for a change. I know he's an amazing defender, but then, crashing the boards, doing all that sort of stuff. And even that will probably add in his appreciation for Steven. So when he comes back, I think it'll be a hero's welcome. I hope there's no bad blood for what's gone on with him being the senior pro and having words with Ja Morant, but you could probably tell me about that and maybe enlighten me.
Yeah, he's definitely a leader on this team. There was a little controversy maybe when they said that Steven kind of spoke out about guys going out or whatever, hanging out too late. And that, I think that's kind of boiled over. People kind of thought that would be a bigger deal, but I don't think. I mean, you got to respect a guy like Steven Adams. He's an older guy back there. He's been there. He's been in playoff battles. He's played with the Russell Westbrook, the Kevin Durant's of the world. So I think he does get that respect on this team. Final question for you, James. James McOnie, of course, is our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at James McOnie. He is tremendous journalist when it comes down to New Zealand sports, and he's joining us today. James, final question for you. With the things that you said with Steven Adams possibly coming back, it does sound like you feel like he's coming back as well. What do you think that means for the Memphis Grizzlies? How far do you think they can go this season? How do you think this season will end with Steven Adams possibly being back on his team in the playoffs?
I think the Grizzlies have got as high a ceiling as anybody in the league, so I think they can win it. It's just, is it going to be this year? I'm not sure about Steven's medical condition. I should have texted him, actually. I wonder if he'd reply. He might reply if I mention that, karaoke or something like that. But
go ahead and text him live on the air, man. Text him right now. See if he hit you back right.
Let's get him on. How's the knee, mate? I'll text you before the end of the show. You can say this just in and play a little news.
Breaking news. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Look, I reckon the Grizzlies are a great side. What you saw last year when they battled, they took the Warriors to the wire. That says enough. And they did that with a depleted squad, right? So with Ja back, like I said, Triple J's getting better. Bane looks the goods, probably one of the most deadly outside shooters. All the bit part players. Brooks taking the heat off everybody by being the thug, the goon for the team in ice hockey parlance. But it's more that what I like about the way the Grizzlies match up is you say, well, the Phoenix Suns are unknown. The Nuggets have just always had that. They've tripped a bit, but look, they've got depth as well. Make no mistake. I just like the way that the Grizzlies match up against a lot of other teams. I feel like the Boston Celtics might be the ones who could do it, because it feels like they've worked out what to do with their two superstars and how to bring, Al Horford coming back almost in that Steven Adams sort of grandpa role. I like what they've done there. So, look, how do you feel about the Grizzlies? You think they can win it all?
Man, I think it depends on matchups. Like you said, I think that I did catch you basically saying we're fine in the West. I did hear you say that you're now on record for saying we're fine in the West along with Ja Morant. But no, I think I think it depends on matchups, man. I think if this team is playing to their potential, you could definitely see them in the NBA Finals. I do agree with you. Teams like Boston, Milwaukee, I think they can cause some problems. Philadelphia as well. I think they're top 3 teams. We don't match up with them well at all. But in the West, I think we can give anybody a run for their money for sure.
Yeah, nice. I hope to see it. I think the one thing I love about the Grizzlies is the style of play is amazing. It's there's a lot of run and gun, but there's also just some sweet moves that have been designed and executed perfectly. It's the passion of the players. Like I remember one game where Ja Morant he hit a game winner and he pretty much got up on the scorer's table or somewhere close and just whacking his chest going, "You've got 12." I love it.
Yeah, call 12. Yeah, call 12.
You got 12.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, real quick, James. Is there one of those matchups and those, obviously the team's going to have to win the play, and if you assume Grizzlies are going to finish 2nd seed, then it's who's ever going to be at that 7. And of those, Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Pelicans, is there one of those that you'd least like to see in the first round if we're looking at those matchups if you're the Grizzlies?
100% the Warriors has to be. You just don't want to face a championship team that's probably, because they sort of exercised a few demons last year by winning that championship. They're playing with no fear, and you don't want all-time shooters like Steph and Clay shooting when it doesn't matter as much as it did last year. They'll just be so loosey-goosey and relaxed, and that's what I think the big fear is having a team like that. I don't think any of the others. Look, the Clippers are just so unknown. It's like asking someone about the Clippers every week, you'll get a different answer.
So true.
Yeah. So the others, I think it's okay. I think they'll get past the first round, but if they play the Warriors, I'm worried. I'm a worried.
Especially with Wiggins back, to your point. Yeah, Wiggins back.
They're a totally different team without Wiggins for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's the thing. That they run deep as well. Kuminga, I think they call him the cum bucket. Is that right? It's probably not the best nickname, but yeah.
You call him that one. I ain't touching them.
How did he get that? But I mean, Kuminga has had some game time, and now he's found his groove. So
there's the reason why he was drafted that high for sure.
Yeah.
Well, James, we definitely appreciate you, brother. Again, everyone, this is James McOnie of The Crowd Goes Wild, which you can watch on the Sky Sports New Zealand channel. I don't know if you can watch it in Memphis. On my bootleg stream, I can definitely watch it. I've seen it.
Yeah, we got videos on Facebook. You go boot. Do you want me to send you a secret link? After I've texted Stephen, I'll send you a private link.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, hit us up when Stephen texts you back, man.
Okay, we'll do.
All right, brother. We appreciate you.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Yep. So likewise, great to be on the show. Great to see you again, Anthony. Love the t-shirt, mate. And actually, I like the hoodie as well there, Jason. I should have got one of those. There's the purple Memphis. Yeah.
We may send you something, man. Yeah. We got you, brother.
Take care.
James, we appreciate you, man. Again, everyone, there was James McOnie of The Crowd Goes Wild television show on the Sky Sport New Zealand network in New Zealand. Big time guest right there. For sure. We thank you guys for listening to the Grind Season podcast here on the free Odyssey app or wherever you listen to podcasts, or on YouTube on the Odyssey Sports YouTube channel. What were you saying, Smith?
I was saying amazing, man. You are so
that was good.
You're worldly, so worldly now that you tapping into New Zealand, tapping into dudes who are already into Friday. It's already midday.
We're in the future. We ain't no other podcast in the city going into the future.
We're talking to folks in the future.
Like it's Friday over here.
That's fascinating, amazing.
Yeah, bro. That was dope for sure. Shout out to James for sure. As we move on to the second segment of the show, the Grizzlies had a ugly, nasty, disgusting loss last night. Jason Smith against the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that you very well could see in the first round. Let me go here first. We got the 50th win the other night against Portland. Portland team didn't roll out anybody. And we getting closer to the second seed. I don't really have much I'll take from that game. Ja Morant didn't play, right? No.
Right. He sat out the first night of the back-to-back so then they could flip it, and he played second night.
He played with Portland, but he didn't play against New Orleans, right?
Right.
Yeah. Big win for the Grizzlies, of course, getting that 50th win. Always exciting to pick up a 50 win. I remember when this team, was constantly going to the playoffs. We were getting those 50-win seasons, and to see this version of that team keep that momentum going to consistently win 50 wins, winning 2 years in a row, definitely is a good thing for sure. That Portland team is out of playoff contention. It seems like Portland has too many dudes. It seems like Portland has 30 dudes on their team. Because it's like, okay, it was a lot of dudes played that night, and there's a lot of guys I know that are out. It just seems like Portland.
Yeah, they had 9-10 guys out and still had.
Yeah, how y'all got these? How many
dudes
dudes
still out? I'll tell you what, the Shaedon Sharpe, man, there's something there.
Oh yeah, he can play for sure. I like his game.
Yep.
I had an old man moment. Seeing Samaki Walker's kid out there did not sit well with me.
That's happening now.
Oh man, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
a sign saying it's a sign we're getting old, brother.
We up out of here in a minute, man. We next. We
I need a few more minutes.
Man, whose kid would really scare you? Like if you saw,
I think seeing Bronny out there is going to be that. I mean,
yeah,
because I saw Bron. We saw Bron in high school, bro. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like that long ago to me. Yeah. So if we're talking about seeing his kid, I mean, Wani, seeing little DeJuan Wagner, seeing little Wani, little DJ.
Yeah, that's making me feel old too.
I've had, I've already had these moments saying that's how old I am. So
damn,
it's already happened. Yeah, it's already happened.
But see, with Bronny though, we watched Bronny as a kid, like we saw him coming. When you look up and freaking Scottie Pippen Jr. or somebody's on television, like, what the hell is this? Like, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff makes you feel old as hell, bro. I'm trying to think who.
Kenyon Martin Jr. I mean, they're all.
Martin Jr. does it.
Yeah.
It's somebody gonna come along that's for sure gonna make me feel old. I just can't think of who it would be. It's somebody out there. Like I've heard this kid's names. I can't think. Anyway, but shout out to Portland, helping deliver us that 50th win. Fast forwarding past that game to the game we got last night against New Orleans. Tough loss. I'm saying it's tough. I put on Twitter, I really don't care. It doesn't seem like the Grizzlies are really trying to win games. And there's something I'll throw out to you too, Jason Smith. There's a lot of talk about teams trying to get to sixth place or they're trying to get certain teams in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. How do the Grizzlies have that same viewpoint? Like they're in a position where they may be like, look, let me stay close enough to Sacramento where we might want to switch. We might want to switch things up with them. We might want to avoid the Lakers at 7 or whoever. No. You don't think there's any element of that to it at all?
There is no. I don't. You would not let a matchup dictate the fact that you can have home court through the first 2 rounds if you lock down 2.
But what if you really don't? What if you don't even think?
So you don't play with that? Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but what if you don't have faith in Sacramento getting out of the first round?
If you don't have faith in Sacramento getting out of the first round, worried about who beats them, bro, gonna have
no. I'm saying if the Grizzlies go to 3, right? If the Grizzlies drop to 3 and Sacramento goes to 2, and Sacramento gets the Lakers and the Lakers get them up out of here, we get home court advantage against the Lakers in the second round.
If you got the Lakers, yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not saying I think this is what they're doing, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some element of let us see how this is unfolding and put ourselves in a position where we can either choose second or third. You know what I mean?
I just don't think you play with that. And I think everything.
Yeah, I don't think you should. No.
Yeah, and I think that's why you didn't see them sit as many as they had the week before against the Clippers when they had Bane, Tyus, and Jaren Jackson out.
Right.
Listen, they had every opportunity to win that game. They were up 19. You look at the way Bane missed that free throw at the end of that game, the way Jaren rebounded that ball. I mean, they had every intention of. I know players and management can be separate, but I'm saying I don't think that's a line you play with. It's sort of like these teams that are aiming for the 6. Frankly, you win too much, you're up to 5 like the Clippers are now, and that's worse for you because then you're Phoenix. But if you go too low, you drop, and now you're at a point where the Lakers are, and it's you got to do a play-in, or you know what I'm saying. So you can't afford to play with it too much. And frankly, I think the best news out of last night was the fact that the Dallas Mavericks beat the Kings. So we're not talking about a 1-game lead with 2 left. Because remember, if the Kings came back and tied you, like they are that too. And I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't. I know what you're saying in terms of if the Lakers won and all that, and then you get home court back, but you don't want to play for all that. What you want to do is lock down the 2 seed, so you got home court through the first 2.
Yeah. They I think that they are. I think they do have an emphasis on. I think they're valuing health over like continuity or chemistry right now. I think because if you think back to this time last year,
I agree with you there.
Yeah, you had Ja Morant who was recovering from a knee injury going into the playoffs. You remember that? Like Ja was just now coming back around this time last year. You had Ja coming in recovering from a knee injury. Dylan Brooks, who we found out this year, was coming in with hamstring stuff going on. Jaren got hurt in the playoffs. Steven Adams had COVID and something else was going on with him last year. Desmond Bane broke his back in the playoffs. I think they're like, look, we just want to get to the playoffs. We want to be healthy. We're not going to sit, guys. We're going to stay warm. We're going to try to test what we have. And I think if you think back to how, and people are like, well, we haven't seen the chemistry between Ja and Jaren. And I'm like, okay, well, that's true. But we saw some of it. Like we saw some of it when Ja first came back. And that might be something they're just putting in the back. Like, okay, look, we'll save a lot of that for the playoffs. It's no need of us. Let's kind of, I think it's maybe some of that too. There are some habits that I am seeing that I don't particularly like because losing is contagious, just like winning is contagious. So, and I'm not really a fan of helping other teams kind of get what they need to do. Like I know that game definitely helped the Pelicans with their thing because they might mess around and get to 7. They might get, that home game in the play-in, which the Grizzlies might not have a problem with either. Because if I was to pick my poison, that Pelicans team is not that good to me.
No, I'd rather get them out of the teams that we mentioned.
If I could pick one, I'm like, give me New Orleans in a heartbeat. I think that shooting streak they went on yesterday was crazy. I'm not going to get into detail because I don't want to cry about a certain player that we could have drafted last year. They hit like 9 threes, look like all this. I'm not going to get into all that, man. I'm going to leave that alone. But I'm not really worried about much that I saw from these last 2 games. I think we're going to see kind of more of a dress rehearsal game against Milwaukee. I think they're going to do what it takes to win that game, to go ahead, like you said, solidify second place. I don't think the Bucks have much to play for.
It's done. Yeah, I think they've already said they're sitting Giannis and just about everybody.
And I think we'll probably go full blast and try to get that win to solidify, that second seed, like you were saying. You have any other thoughts about the game?
Well, the only thing I add is hopefully Santi's good. They got him listed. I want to say it says doubtful for tomorrow, but the good thing is listed as elbow soreness, and so it did. He only played 7 minutes as a starter in that game. Had to go out, didn't return. Especially if you're gonna have a limited Steven Adams or no Steven Adams at all, you just like that optionality, as Taylor Jenkins would say. I'd like to have a decently healthy Santi going in. So hopefully that's nothing serious with Santi's elbow. But I'm like you, as far as the game, would have liked to have won it because you'd be done at this point. It'd already be locked up since the Kings lost. But that said, it's fine. I'm not as worried about the Ja and the Jaren thing and the chemistry
I think there's a lot of nonsense. I don't think that's a real.
I worry more about that if it's one of the veteran teams, the Clippers or Golden State, I guess, than I would the Clippers. I mean the Clippers or the Pelicans, because I do think you get that worked out a little easier against those. Certainly against the Pelicans, who don't have the playoff experience other than CJ. But nah, man, I think I'm mostly just concerned, much like it seems like the Grizzlies are, with health right now and hoping that they're as healthy as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Like we said, you do have those 2 games left against the Bucks and against the Thunder. We're probably gonna, if we win this Bucks game, we're probably gonna put anything out there against the Thunder for sure. And I hope that game gets Dallas up out of here too, man. I hope that's the game that is Dallas this season. But something else real quick, you talked about Santi. I think that I want to just kind of double down on what you said about it. The scouting, not the scouting report, the injury report saying that he's listed as doubtful because of elbow soreness. That sounds like we're just going to put him on the shelf and make sure he's ready for the playoffs. We probably won't see him in either one of these 2 games, but I don't think it's because he can't play. I just think they're probably just going to bench him just to get to the playoffs with him healthy and in tow. And that's, I'm fine with that as well. Thank you guys for listening to the Grind Season Podcast with Anthony Sain and Jason Smith. Shout out again to our excellent guest we had, Mr. James McOnie, all the way from New Zealand. Second segment, we talked about the last 2 games that we played and the last remaining games. And now we will talk about what's probably the biggest things Grizzly related today outside of that, the terrible loss yesterday. The Washington Post dropped another story. I think you said that it was a 30-minute read
Yeah, 25, 27 minutes.
Yeah.
5,000.
I gave him about 5 on it. I thought I was almost done, and I see I wasn't because you were telling me stuff in the story I didn't even get to. I was like, no, I ain't see none of that. I didn't see none of that at all.
It's as thorough, and it is. I know a lot of people say it's overkill or they're coming out the job, but it is a thorough reporting job where they've talked to people that were involved in the incidents over this past summer. Not just reports anymore, but actual
names, faces,
people involved, including the 17-year-old at the time who's now been named. Who's now been named because he's refiled that civil suit against Ja.
And I'll say this: the people who are saying, why this? I mean, I don't really care to talk about this. I'll be open about that. But to the people who are saying that it's not news, or I can't agree with it because it's definitely more details coming out about it. And being here and being in the city, being connected to this stuff, you kind of know. You've heard this stuff before, but that doesn't mean that it's not relevant to anybody. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. We talk about this time and time again. You can choose your actions, but you can't choose your consequences. And Ja's not in a position where he can choose his consequences. He's got to deal with the results of this whole thing that he went through last summer. We don't really know where this is going to go. We've got names and faces connected with this now, and it feels nasty, man. Like the whole thing is just super unfortunate. And me and you had a conversation about this off the air, and we kind of shared how we think about it. But it's just super unfortunate. It's just super unfortunate that Ja was somebody that we could say the name is out there in the article that Josh Holloway saw as a mentor. This is somebody that he would go to Ja's games. He was, kind of a little bro to him.
Ja had been to his games.
Yeah, Ja had been to his games. I'm sure this wasn't the first time he was over Ja's house. And it basically, not to oversimplify, but it was a basketball game situation that went terribly wrong. And in most cases with regular people, if y'all are really boys like that, it happen. Whatever happens. Y'all shake it up, y'all scrap it out, and then you move on. But when you got millionaires and celebrities and star NBA players involved, it becomes another thing. And like I said, it's tough. And you shared there was stuff that Alex Lomax that texted Ja Morant in the article, and the whole thing with the mall and things like that. Only thing I'll say in Ja's favor, Ja has suffered from this. Like he's took some major things from this. The Powerade thing seems to be up in the air or over. That endorsement deal. The Nike thing seems to still be going. Ja's got ridiculed in social media. Not sure how much he cares about that at all, or how much he should care about those type of things. But we all know that a deep playoff run, dunk on a couple of dudes, a 50-point game in the playoffs, no, it'll be gone. You know what I mean? But I hate it because I would have liked to see that situation. It's tough because I think about like me and you have sons that are literally best friends. You know what I mean? It's like if I've seen, Gabe has spent the night over here and I'm sorry, CJ spent the night over here. Gabe spent the night at CJ's house. They get into it every time they get together. You know what I mean? And I just like, okay, what if those two dudes had something to fall out and we know they're friends like that? How does that shake out? Like in a normal situation, you find a way to make it work or y'all just stop hanging out. But in John's situation, it's a lot nastier because there's so much money involved and there's, adults and a minor involved and these type of things. But I just hate to see. It sounds like there was a really cool relationship that Josh Holloway had with Ja Morant that just totally went into something disastrous at this point. I hate it. It sucks. I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm sure there's going to be some type of financial resolution to this thing. It sucks though. And you'll probably hear more and more stories until something like that happens. But I don't know. That's about all I got, Jason.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Ja that at a time where, it seemed to be, okay, maybe the clouds are sort of going away. Maybe the sky's sort of getting blue again because, the hope was you weren't going to have any more incidents. He had seeked the counseling, had gone through that, had talked about now he was meditating. And so just like we said, saying as these stories popped up, hopefully there are no more. Very quickly the tide can change if there aren't. If everything's positive, like you said, he's out there dunking on Drew Eubanks. Folks forget very quickly.
Nobody would give a damn about none of this.
The problem for Ja is that there is no limit to how many times the same story can come back and get you, especially when there are new details. And especially now, the national news outlet has an inside track to getting more of those details now that Joshua Holloway is talking. They've got the lawsuit. So they're, while Ja and maybe Grizz fans may be, tired of this, beaten down by this, there's nothing that says already you got yours. This is not again when you're dealing with media. We're in a world now where it's a constant 24/7 news cycle, and probably those folks at the Washington Post are saying, okay, now when can we do the next story on Ja? Because they found something that is clearly, and there's a part of me when it comes to that, okay, why is it important to the Washington Post more concerned about how the police are treating Ja Morant, or maybe, looking the other way if Ja Morant has committed a crime than they are today, what's going on in the Tennessee House of Representatives? I don't know if you saw that, or you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that they are spending such a great deal of time and resources on a superstar player, but one that's in a small market, and trying to basically say this little podunk town is turning the other way and this guy's becoming a monster. Like that's not what they're saying. It's good reporting, but there's a part of that to me that rubs me the wrong way. That it's, gosh, this is great reporting and it's greatly sourced and everything else, but y'all really using these resources to say, oh, slow Memphis is letting a superstar get the slow Memphis Police Department is letting a superstar get a pass, and look at what's coming to this. Like, that's the story that you guys feel is so valuable to get out of this. So again, the Washington Post has always done great journalism. So their interest in this, and it's more than just clicks and getting readership. Like, they've clearly found an interest in getting deep in this. There's something about that. But again, I keep going back to it. Ja opened up that box when he put live on that Instagram. He opened up this world that wanted to then come in and dig in. And now you've got serious journalists that have got a way into the story, and nationally they don't care about about how Memphians feel about Ja, whether you think this is overkill. At this point, they're very unbiased. They're just doing the way they look at it, they're doing their jobs. But I hate it for Ja because you feel like maybe the momentum was already turning. But all that said, saying he can turn it back around again with no more incidents, going out there playing ball. And frankly, on all of this, I would stop with any sort of defensive talk or I didn't do anything. I wouldn't say anything to anybody. Nothing. You don't owe the media anymore. I no comment everything. Let the courts, civil court, handle the rest with the Holloway situation. And man, I'm not saying shut up and play ball. What I'm saying is you don't owe these folks anything else in terms of an explanation. And trying to get defensive at this point with this many details out about you. I mean, the kid, 17-year-old kid, a 5'3" store clerk you trying to intimidate. You don't need to try to look like the victim anymore. So it's best for you, I would advise, man. I'm sure everybody has to just play ball, man, and no more incidents, man. And I pray that.
I'm glad you said that because I was just about to say I just really pray too for everybody involved, the Holloway family, because there are going to be people who are going to retaliate against them or feel a way about them or speak a way about them. The internet is nasty, disgusting, man. You know that. It was different when he was an anonymous kid. When he was the 17-year-old kid. But now he's a name and a face. He lives in Memphis. His family's from here. So I just hate I hate that it's just so wide open right now, man. And even the guy that was the clerk at the finish line, like it's just gross, man. At this point, and I just really wish it would end, not for Ja's sake, but it's just such a really ugly and unfortunate situation. And I hope that it's resolved soon. But like you said, man, you can't put a timeline on this type of stuff. The more that comes out about it, the more it's going to come out about it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it, man. It just kind of is what it is. But the Grizzlies basketball still has to go on. Like you said, we do have 2 more games left in the season. Our next show will probably be pretty good. By the time we have that show, the regular season should be pretty much over. And we can start talking about, playoff matchups and who's going to come in to the FedEx Forum for Game 1 here in Memphis, Tennessee. But we thank you guys for rocking with us today. Shout out to James McOnie from New Zealand who came in and rocked with us talking about Steven Adams, a true Kiwi in the building. I don't know what the Kiwi. I never understood the Kiwi thing. I'm about to find out what's up with it. He said a lot of cold stuff though. I was like, damn, I need to use that. It's something he said like what did he call? Instead of calling them veterans, he called them senior. What did he say?
No, I don't recall.
He called senior managers or something he was saying.
Our great executive producer Drew Barrett says Kiwi's a bird. It's the national bird of New Zealand.
The national bird of New Zealand. Shout out.
Oh yeah, there it is. Grandpas. He called them grandpas.
It was something else. He was calling, instead of calling veteran players, he called them senior somethings. I don't know. Anyway, I'll go back and listen to it. Y'all listen to it. But for Jason Smith, this is Anthony Sain. We appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on Twitter at the Grind Season Pod. Subscribe on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to Odyssey Sports on YouTube. Watch us, look at us, listen to us. We appreciate y'all and keep grinding.